All day long, I have been staring at ceilings, hanging drywall. I sliced my hand open and didn't even have time to go to an urgent care clinic, so I came home with my bandage already stained with blood. But in this house, there was no one waiting with concern. There was only someone scheming how to take more money under my name. Sarah dragged her exhausted body through the front door, but the voices coming from inside made her hand freeze on the doorknob. Her mother-in-law, Brenda, was sitting arrogantly on the living room sofa, talking on the phone and casually dropping Sarah's name. "Yeah, I'll have it in by tomorrow. This one's a sure thing, I tell you. I'll just get a cash advance on my daughter-in-law's credit card, and wire you the $2,000. Don't worry. When have you ever known me to lie?" Brenda hung up the phone, a wide, gleeful smile plastered across her face. Sarah slowly set down her bag and glanced at her right hand. Red was beginning to seep through the white gauze. She had sliced it deep on a razor-sharp utility knife at the job site that morning. Grudging the time it would take to go to a clinic, she had just slapped a bandage on it from a pharmacy kit and endured the day in a cloud of dust. "Oh, perfect timing," Brenda said, her eyes lighting up. "Sarah, give me your card. I need to send some money right away." She held out her hand, completely ignoring Sarah's injured one. Sarah clutched her wallet, struggling to find her voice. "Mom, what do you mean, $2,000? What is that money for?" "It's an investment." "An investment? My friend told me about this incredible business opportunity. You just put the money in for 3 months, and it comes back as $30,000. This is a gift from God, a real once-in-a-lifetime chance." "Mom, please. You said the exact same thing last time and ended up losing $20,000. I'm still paying off that debt." As Sarah's voice trembled, Brenda's expression instantly soured into a vicious scowl. "Lost? That was just bad luck. This time is completely different. Why do you have to be so negative all the time? Your mother-in-law is trying to do something to better our lives, and you're here finding fault. But $2,000 is too much. We've already blown through this month's budget for living expenses. If there's no money for groceries, you can just go out and earn more tomorrow. You're young and healthy, so what are you complaining about? If you go to the job site tomorrow, you'll get paid, won't you?" Brenda yelled, treating Sarah as if she were nothing more than a human ATM. Sarah felt her world collapsing and bit her lip hard to keep from screaming. "Give me the card. Now. If I lose this spot to someone else, it'll be your fault." As Brenda tried to snatch the wallet from Sarah's hand, the front door swung open and her sister-in-law, Jessica, burst in. A shopping bag with a glittering luxury logo dangled from her hand. "Mom, I'm home." "Oh, Sarah, you're back already." Jessica held up a brand-new handbag, shaking it ostentatiously in front of Sarah. "Look at this, Mom. It's the latest design, just came out at Nordstrom. It was $3,000. Isn't it gorgeous? $3,000? Sarah shrieked. "Jessica, are you out of your mind?" At Sarah's cry, Jessica shot her a glare and tossed the bag onto the sofa. "What are you yelling for? If I pay for it in 12 monthly installments, it's only $250 a month. For you, that's pocket change, isn't it? On my card?" "Jessica, why do you keep using my card when you have your own? Mine's already maxed out. Besides, you have a great credit score. You work your butt off. Don't you have that much to spare? Are you really going to be this cheap?" Jessica had the audacity to act annoyed. Sarah felt dizzy and grabbed the arm of the sofa to steady herself. "My cards are already charged with over $5,000. There's no more credit available. Then just get a cash advance. It's so easy to get a payday loan these days. Your daily wage from painting is about $200, right? If you just work a few extra days, you'll pay it off in no time." Jessica nonchalantly opened the fridge, pulled out a beer, and started drinking. Sarah held up her bandaged, blood-stained hand, pleading. "I'm a human being. Staring at ceilings and hanging drywall all day makes my whole body feel like it's breaking apart. My hand is cut and swollen like this. How can I possibly work more? What's there to be in pain about? At 45, you're still young enough to wrestle a bull. Stop being so dramatic." Brenda chimed in, echoing Jessica's callousness. "Enough of your whining. Go make dinner. Our daughter is hungry, you hear? Get a move on." "Mom, my hand hurts too much to use a knife. Can't we just order in or fend for ourselves tonight?" 1. Making a big deal out of a little cut on your finger? Your left hand is fine, isn't it? Use your left hand to whip up some instant ramen or something. Are you planning to starve your mother-in-law and sister-in-law? Hounded by Brenda, Sarah finally swallowed her tears and headed to the kitchen. Every time she tried to tear open the ramen package, the wound on her hand split open, and the bandage was quickly soaked in red. But more terrifying than the pain was the stark realization that there was no hope in this house. It was past 11 p.m. when her husband, Mark, stumbled in, reeking of alcohol. "Honey, you're just getting home? I thought you were at a job site today. Why are you like this?" "Ah, I had to do some networking, had a few drinks. I'll go to work tomorrow." "Tomorrow." Mark sprawled out on the sofa and waved his hand dismissively. Sarah, on the verge of exploding, suppressed her anger and asked, "Networking? You barely work 2 days a week. Where do you get the money to drink every single day?" "Mom gave me some spending money." "Hey, do you think I enjoy not working? When I land one big construction contract, I'll make it up to everyone. Just be quiet and let me sleep." Mark immediately started snoring, and Sarah noticed the utility bill on the coffee table. It was 3 months overdue, totaling $1,800. Brenda had loudly proclaimed she would take care of the bills, but it had all been a lie. Rummaging through a drawer, she found a stack of notices. Overdue electricity bills, water bills, even a final notice for the internet service. But the most shocking discovery was a bank letter buried underneath. It was a notice that her mother-in-law's house had exceeded its home equity line of credit and was on the brink of foreclosure. She even took out a second mortgage on the house? Where did all this money go? Sarah took out the 5 credit cards from her wallet and spread them on the table. Her mother-in-law's baseless investments, her sister-in-law's extravagant luxury shopping, her husband's bar tabs, all of this hellish spending was tied to and funneled through one name: Sarah. Just then, Brenda came out for a drink of water and shot a cold glare at her. "What are you doing up? Don't tell me you were rummaging through my drawers." "Mom, what are all these bills? And when did you take out a loan against the house? How far have you gone using me behind my back?" "Using you? What a way to talk. The money you bring in is barely enough. So I was trying to do a little wealth management. It was all for the good of our family, wasn't it? It's $6,000. The amount due on my cards this month alone is $6,000. My monthly income is $4,000. How am I supposed to handle this?" "Then work more. Cut down on your sleeping hours. You can work on weekends too. Why are you so lazy for someone so young?" Far from feeling sorry, Brenda just patted Sarah's shoulder and gave a smug smile. "Sarah, let's be honest. You know this family can't function without you, right? We're counting on you. So, no more complaining. Just go and earn more money. Got it?" Watching Brenda's retreating back, Sarah's eyes turned cold as ice. 10 years of patience crumbled, creating a massive fissure. "That's right, Mom. You're counting on me. I'll show you exactly how this house falls apart when I'm gone." With trembling hands, Sarah picked up her phone and began to make a call. The next evening, Sarah's neck and shoulders ached as if they would snap after a full day of looking up at ceilings, painting, and patching. Without even changing out of her dust-covered work clothes, she walked into the living room, where Brenda was waiting with a document. "Sarah, look at this. This is the absolute last time. It's a God-given opportunity." Brenda's eyes gleamed as she pushed a pen toward her. Sarah held her aching back as she took the papers. "Mom, what is this now? We had a huge fight yesterday, and you're already talking about money again. It's an investment agreement. You just need to sign at the bottom. It's very simple. With just a flick of your wrist, you can change our family's fortune." Brenda beamed, as if she had discovered a gold mine. Sarah began to flip through the 3-page document. The first page was filled with dazzling profit projections. But as she reached the last page, her face turned deathly pale. "Mom, this isn't an investment agreement. It's a loan guarantee. A personal guarantee, with me as the sole guarantor." As Sarah's voice echoed through the living room, Brenda clicked her tongue dismissively. "So what if it's a guarantee? The principal and interest will all come back in 3 months anyway. This is just a formality." "A formality? It says here that for a $30,000 investment, I am the sole guarantor responsible for everything. How is that a formality? If we don't get the money back, I'll have to repay the entire $30,000. As Sarah slammed the papers on the floor, her sister-in-law, Jessica, emerged from her room, munching on chips. "Geez, Sarah, why are you so uptight? It's not like this is Mom's first time investing. This time it's for real. Jessica, you stay out of this. Last year, when your mother lost $50,000, You were the one egging her on. Don't you see me working day and night to pay that off? Despite Sarah's furious outburst, Jessica just shrugged and chewed her gum loudly. That was then. This is now. We have solid information this time. And besides, to be honest, who else in this house can co-sign a loan? Me, Mom, and my brother all have trash credit. The words hit Sarah like a punch to the gut. Trash credit? Jessica, what are you talking about? Since when? Oh, was it last year? I was trying to juggle credit card debt behind your back, and it all blew up at once. So now, you're the only one in this family with a clean name. That means you have to take one for the team, right? Jessica spoke with a defiant pride, as if she were boasting of an accomplishment. Stunned, Sarah looked at Brenda, who began to scream, turning the tables. That's right. Me, your husband, and Jessica, the three of us can't even open a bank account. That's why we need your name. You're the daughter-in-law of this house, so you should sign without a word. How dare you glare at me? Absolutely not. This is my life on the line. I won't do it, not even if I die. As Sarah pushed the papers away, Brenda's face twisted into a demonic mask. She slowly approached and whispered menacingly in Sarah's ear. Sarah, don't you care about your daughter Chloe? She's in second grade now, a very sensitive age. Sarah's heart sank. Chloe? Why are you bringing Chloe into this? Her school tuition, her lunch money, it all comes off your credit card, doesn't it? If you defy us and get kicked out of this house, what do you think will happen to Chloe? Do you think you can raise her on the streets by yourself? Brenda had found Sarah's only weakness and began to gaslight her viciously. Chloe has to go to high school, and then college. If you get a divorce, do you really think you can raise a child on a painter's daily wage? If you don't want to ruin your child's life, you'll sign this quietly. This is the best choice for you, too. Under Brenda's threatening gaze, tears streamed down Sarah's face. It felt as if she had no other choice to protect Chloe in this hellish household. With a hand that trembled uncontrollably, she took the pen Brenda offered. Mom, is this really the last time? If I do this, you won't talk about money again, right? I promise. If this goes well, I'll even let you quit your job. Now hurry up and sign. Urged on by Brenda, Sarah finally wrote her name at the bottom of the document. Sarah Miller. The three words felt like a noose tightening around her neck. The moment she finished, Brenda snatched the papers and disappeared into her room. Jessica patted her on the back, saying, See, you're the best, Sarah. But the tragedy struck just 2 days later. Sarah was checking her banking app when she saw that $20,000 had vanished from her line of credit. What is this? Why is $20,000 suddenly gone? Her face ashen. Sarah ran out to the living room. Brenda was casually peeling an apple while watching TV. Mom, $20,000 was just withdrawn from my account. What's going on? Oh, that. I paid off some urgent debts before making the investment. The creditors were making a scene, threatening to come to the house. Brenda took a bite of the apple and answered nonchalantly. Sarah's mind went blank. Then, what about the investment? You said you were going to invest $30,000 and change our lives. $10,000 is enough for the investment. It's better to use the rest to put out the immediate fires. You just don't understand how to prioritize money. Mom, this is fraud. You were deceiving me from the start. As Sarah wailed, Brenda slammed the remote control on the floor and screamed. Fraud? How dare you speak to your mother-in-law like that? What's fraudulent about a family using a little money flexibly? If you keep acting so disrespectful, you can forget about Chloe and everything else. Sarah stumbled back to her room, trembling, and locked the door. With shaky hands, she searched for the name of the other party listed on the investment contract. The moment she typed in the name of the supposed investment expert, Victor Vance, a flood of shocking news articles appeared. He was a habitual con man who had been arrested for a multi-million-dollar investment scam and was currently out on bail. What was more chilling was that among the list of people who had sued him, the name Brenda Miller was already there. My God. She knew he was a con artist who had already scammed her, and she still sold my name to him to throw more money away. A wave of nausea washed over Sarah as goosebumps covered her entire body. To save herself, her mother-in-law had pushed her daughter-in-law into a pit of hell. Inside Sarah's heart, which had sacrificed for what she believed was family for 10 years, a cold rage began to boil. Fine, Mom. If you people won't treat me like a human being, then I'll stop acting like one. I will bring this house down with my own 2 hands. Sarah wiped her tears and pulled a small audio recorder from the back of a drawer. It was no longer time to defend. It was time to attack. A week later, Sarah was on a stepladder in a dusty work site. Her phone vibrated violently, and she quickly climbed down to answer it. It was an unfamiliar number. Hello? Am I speaking with Sarah Miller? This is the Asset Recovery Department at Central Savings and Loan. A cold, mechanical voice flowed through the receiver. A sense of dread washed over Sarah, and her heart dropped. Asset recovery? What is this about? I haven't taken out any loans. You didn't borrow it directly, but we are calling regarding the loan you guaranteed for Miss Brenda Miller. The current balance is $34,500, which includes the $30,000 principal plus $4,500 in overdue interest. If the full amount is not paid by the end of today, we will initiate legal proceedings. What? I only co-signed a week ago. How could there be so much interest already? What do you mean, repayment? Sarah's voice trembled with shock, but the person on the other end just rustled some papers and replied coolly, Miss Brenda Miller has been in default for 3 months, without making a single payment on the principal or interest. With you registered as an additional guarantor, you have now become subject to the same collection actions as the primary debtor. Were you not aware of this when you signed? In default for 3 months? My God. My mother-in-law had me guarantee a debt that was already delinquent. Clutching her phone, Sarah sank to the floor. After hanging up, she rushed home and screamed at Brenda, who was lying on the sofa watching a home shopping channel. Mom, the bank just called. They said if I don't pay $34,500 immediately, my credit will be ruined. You were already in default for 3 months, weren't you? Brenda barely turned her head, fiddling with the remote. They called? Then just don't answer. Why are you making such a fuss? Their job is to threaten people. It's not over if I don't answer. My credit is going to be destroyed, and they're going to garnish my wages. You lied to me, didn't you? You pushed a bad debt onto me as a guarantor. Lied? I was planning to pay it back soon. Things just got a little complicated. And if you co-signed, you have to take responsibility. Why are you lashing out at your mother-in-law? Brenda stared back defiantly. Sarah was so flabbergasted she let out a hollow laugh. Why should I be responsible for your debt? You said you were investing. You used $20,000 to pay off your other debts, gave the rest to a con man, and now you're telling me to pay it all back. Oh, you're so loud. If you have so much to say, go out and work more. Another day on the job site will bring in more money, won't it? Who do you think you are, trying to lecture me? Brenda cranked up the TV volume to its maximum, drowning out Sarah's voice. That afternoon, a new level of hell began. Capital finance companies, savings and loans, even private lenders began calling Sarah's phone relentlessly. By evening, a group of menacing-looking men were pounding on the front door. Brenda Miller, where are you hiding? Come out and pay your debt. When a terrified Sarah opened the door, a man with a flushed, angry face blocked her way. Just then, her sister-in-law, Jessica, peeked out of her room and pointed at Sarah. Sirs, that woman there is the daughter-in-law, Sarah Miller. She's the one who co-signed the loan, so take it up with her. I'm just the daughter. I have nothing to do with this. Jessica cowardly used Sarah as a human shield and slammed her door shut. Sarah was trapped at the entrance, threatened and harassed by the strange men for over an hour. Late that night, her husband Mark stumbled home, drunk. He listened to Sarah's tearful plea with a snort. Where were you? Debt collectors came to the house and tried to drag me away. Why do I have to suffer for your mother's debt? God, you're so annoying. What do you want me to do about it? It's my mom's business. She'll handle it. I don't know anything. Your family. How can you talk like it's someone else's problem? Who have you been meeting every night? Are you having an affair? At Sarah's sharp question, Mark's eyes flickered for a moment, but he quickly raised his voice to corner her. What? An affair? Are you trying to ruin my life? I was just talking with a friend's sister, and now you're accusing me of cheating. Is linking arms with a friend's sister and going into a motel just talking? More than one person from the job site saw you. You should get your own act together. Just go and earn more money. If you weren't so pathetic with money, do you think I'd be out all the time? This whole house is a mess because you're incompetent. Mark blamed Sarah for everything, slammed the bedroom door, and locked himself inside. The next morning, Brenda, crossing paths with Sarah in the kitchen, didn't even offer her a glass of water. Instead, she smirked and said, Sarah, you handled those debt collectors well yesterday. I see you've got some guts. From now on, you can deal with all of them. Mom, I really can't take this anymore. I think Mark is cheating on me. How much more am I supposed to endure? Does anyone in this family even see me as a person? Cheating? Is that important right now? We're about to lose the house, and you're whining about some woman? Solve the loan problem first. Once the money issue is fixed, Mark will come back. A daughter-in-law is supposed to be the shield of the family. Brenda patted Sarah's shoulder and walked past. It was then that Sarah finally realized. In this house, she wasn't family, nor a daughter-in-law. She was just a shield to take the arrows, a machine to print money. Sarah stared at Brenda's retreating back with ice-cold eyes. A shield, you say? Fine. I'll show you just how devastating it is for this house when the shield decides to stop taking the hits. Sarah quietly returned to her room, took out every single credit card from her wallet, and began cutting them up, one by one, with a pair of scissors. She couldn't live like this anymore. On a weekend afternoon, Sarah wanted to rest, but her mother-in-law forced her to attend a family get-together. The place was bustling with aunts, uncles, and cousins. Sarah had come straight from a dusty job site, her nails caked with grime, but she forced a smile and greeted everyone. "Oh, Sarah's here. They say painting is hard work. You look like you've lost so much weight." As Sarah sat down, Brenda seized the opportunity to speak. "You have no idea. Our daughter-in-law did something huge for us. She co-signed a $30,000 loan for me. The bank approved it in a heartbeat, just on her name alone. She's quite something." At Brenda's backhanded compliment, all eyes turned to Sarah. She felt her face flush with shame. "Oh my, you co-signed a loan? For $30,000? How are you ever going to pay that back on a painter's wage?" "Exactly. Even if she makes $200 a day, that's only $6,000 a month. After her own expenses, she'll be painting walls for a solid 6 months just to pay it off. But our Sarah is strong. She'll pay it back in no time, right?" Brenda chuckled, patting Sarah's shoulder. The relatives joined in, their laughter laced with ridicule. Sarah clenched her fists and spoke in a low voice. "Mom, please stop. This isn't the place to talk about this." "Why not? What can't be said among family? It's a daughter-in-law's duty to throw herself into the line of fire for her husband's family. Isn't that right?" "It's not a duty. I have my own thoughts and my own life." When Sarah raised her voice, the atmosphere instantly turned frigid. Brenda's eyes blazed as she slammed her teacup down. "Your life? A married woman has no separate life. Your husband's family's success is your life and your destiny. How dare you talk about your life in front of your elders?" Sarah couldn't bear to stay in that hellish place any longer. "I'm leaving." As she grabbed her bag and stood up, Brenda yelled at her back. "Where do you think you're going? Go home and set the table. All our relatives are coming over for drinks, so have a full spread of appetizers ready." Sarah didn't look back. She ran outside, and only when the cold wind hit her face did the tears she'd been holding back finally stream down her cheeks. But her ordeal was far from over. The next day, while she was painting a wall at a job site, covered in dust, she got a call from Jessica. "Sarah, where are you?" "I'm at the mall, and my card got declined for exceeding the limit. You need to come down here right now and pay for this." "Jessica, I'm at a job site. How can I possibly go there while I'm working?" "Well, the card holder has to be here to make the payment. I'm trying to buy a $3,000 bag, and it's the last one in stock. I'll die if I miss out on this. I already told you my cards are maxed out. I don't have any money." When Sarah firmly refused, Jessica clicked her tongue in annoyance. You're so inflexible. Then just get a cash advance. You said you could get loans easily in your name, right? This bag is an investment. An investment. I need to carry this to meet a good man, which will end your suffering too. Don't you know luxury goods are a form of investment these days? You want me to go into debt to buy you a handbag? I can't do that. I'm hanging up." When Sarah hung up, the phone rang again 10 minutes later. This time, Jessica's voice was as cold as ice. "Sarah, are you really going to be like this? Is painting a wall more important than my handbag? If you treat your in-laws so cruelly, how are you going to handle the consequences later?" The threatening tone of the call made Sarah's heart pound, and she couldn't continue working. Late in the afternoon, as she was taking a break, she received a text from an unknown number. "I have evidence of your husband's affair. Contact me if you want the photos." Sarah felt her heart stop. With a trembling hand, she called the number. A man's voice answered. Miss Sarah Miller? You're Mark Miller's wife, correct? I happened to obtain some photos while investigating another matter, and I felt you should know. I'll send them over. Please check. The photos that followed were damning. They clearly showed her husband, Mark, with his arm around a young woman, affectionately heading into a motel. Mark was smiling as if he owned the world, his hand wrapped around the woman's waist. It's a lie. It can't be. This is fake, Sarah muttered to herself, but she couldn't tear her eyes away from the pictures. After 10 years of toiling at job sites, breaking her back to support him, the result was her husband's affair and her in-laws' fraud. Sarah collapsed onto the floor of her empty house, staring blankly at the ceiling. From next door, she could hear the ripping sound of old wallpaper being torn down. It sounded just like her own tattered life being torn to shreds. Around 8 p.m., Brenda came in, reeking of alcohol, and threw her purse on the floor. You didn't even make dinner? What are you doing in your room? Sarah walked out of the room without a word. Seeing her vacant eyes, Brenda paid no mind and immediately brought up money again. Good, you're out. I found a truly amazing investment opportunity. Just put in $20,000, and it'll become $40,000 in 2 months. Let's take out one more loan in your name. Your credit score is still good, right? Brenda looked at Sarah with eyes full of expectation. Sarah stared back into those vile eyes, her lips pressed tightly together. Why aren't you answering? Are you deaf? Are you ignoring me when I'm talking to you? Mom. Sarah called her for the first time in a voice devoid of any emotion. What? Are you going to get the loan? I'm going back to my room. And from now on, don't you ever touch me again. Sarah walked past Brenda, went into her room, and locked the door. Outside, Brenda kicked the door, screaming, Are you crazy? How dare you lock the door? But Sarah lay on her best and pulled up the photos of the affair on her phone. What was I to these people? In the dark room, Sarah made a decision. She would end her 10 years of endurance and begin the cruelest revenge to take away everything they had. That night, for the first time, Sarah did not enter the kitchen for her in-laws. At 4 a.m., in the pitch-black darkness, Sarah's eyes opened. The sight of her husband, Mark, snoring beside her, reeking of alcohol, made her stomach churn. Sarah carefully slipped out of the room and opened her laptop on the living room table. This was not the time for emotions. It was time to coldly prepare for war. With trembling hands, Sarah logged into her online banking. Over 10 years of supporting her in-laws, she had accumulated a staggering 12 different accounts. From her main checking account to emergency savings, she opened them one by one and let out a hollow laugh. My God, this entire household has been running on my blood, sweat, and tears. Sarah opened an Excel file and began to itemize every expense. The mortgage, electricity, water, gas bills, not to mention the cell phone plans for her mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and their unlimited internet. It was all being automatically debited from her accounts. Her $4,000 monthly salary was siphoned off for the family's fixed expenses the moment it was deposited. The fixed monthly expenses are $2,500, and my salary is $4,000. What have I been living on for the past 10 years? Sarah meticulously went through her credit card statements. There were transfers for Brenda's baseless investments, installment payments for Jessica's luxury goods from department stores, and bar tabs from the clubs Mark frequented at night. In the last year alone, over $70,000 had been spent under Sarah's name. Her hand shook, but she didn't shed a tear. Instead, she coldly recorded the numbers. In the back of a drawer, she found an old emergency savings account passbook. 2 years ago, when Brenda was whining about a failed business, Sarah had given it to her to pay off a debt. She had put $6,000 in it, but the balance was now only $2,000. She pretended to pay off her debt while secretly siphoning out $4,000 for herself. Unbelievable. Sarah began scrolling through her text messages with Brenda. Sarah, send me your card info. It's urgent. Wire $1,000 to my friend's account today. Open another bank account in your name. She took screenshots of every extortion-like conversation. Her fingers went numb as she collected evidence. She also found the audio file of Brenda's phone call, plotting the investment scam. This investment is 100% guaranteed. I can just get a loan in my daughter-in-law's name, so don't worry. Hearing Brenda's whispering voice, Sarah's eyes turned to ice. She saved the file as Brenda Miller investment fraud evidence. Next was her husband, Mark. She compiled the photos from the private investigator, showing him entering the motel with his mistress and the lewd text messages she had secretly screenshotted from his phone. My wife is a workaholic mule. She'll never notice. I'll book the motel for tonight. Reading these, Sarah labeled the file Mark Miller Adultery Evidence and saved it to a USB drive. This should be more than enough for court. You all better get ready to be out on the street. At 6 a.m., Sarah began to leverage the network of contacts she had built over 10 years in her trade. She sent a text to the owners of her main client companies. Sir, I'm planning to form my own crew and go independent starting next month. Would you be open to a direct contract? Replies poured in. Sarah, with your skills, we'd be grateful. Working directly with you without the middleman would be much better for us. A faint smile appeared on Sarah's lips as she secured the commitments. If I go independent, I can easily make $6,000 a month, and not a single cent will go to my in-laws. Sarah wrote down her final plan in a notebook. 1. Cancel all automatic payments. 2. Freeze and close all credit cards. 3. Leave home and secure independent work. 6. File for divorce and a lawsuit for damages. At 7 a.m., she heard Brenda yawning in the living room. Brenda emerged from her room with messy hair and commanded, as if it were her right, "You're up already? I'm hungry. Hurry up and make some soup and rice. Jessica will be up soon." "No. Starting today, I will not be cooking in this house," Sarah replied in a flat, emotionless tone as she packed her laptop. Brenda's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? You're not cooking? Then, what are we supposed to eat? Go buy something at a convenience store. Or starve. Figure it out yourselves. I have to leave early for work from now on. I'm busy." "So busy? How busy can a painter be? Hey, more importantly, did you look into that investment loan I told you about? The deadline for the deposit is today." Brenda grabbed Sarah's arm, her voice laced with irritation. Sarah violently shook her hand off and shot back coldly. "I'm not getting a loan, and as of today, all the cards in my name have been frozen. Just so you know." "What? Frozen? Are you out of your mind?" "No, I've just come to my senses. I'm leaving now. You can buy your own dinner, too." Sarah slammed the front door behind her. From inside, she could hear Brenda screaming, "Hey, Sarah Miller, you get back here right now." But Sarah felt only lightness as she got into her car. She pressed the accelerator, watching in the rearview mirror as Brenda, fuming on the porch, grew smaller and smaller. Inside her bag, the USB drive held 10 years of blood and tears. Now her weapons. The submissive daughter-in-law, Sarah Miller, was dead. All that remained was to methodically tear off and starve the giant leeches that were her in-laws. That morning at 10 a.m., Sarah, dressed not in dusty work clothes but in a smart outfit, sat at a bank counter. The teller glanced between the documents Sarah provided and her ID, then asked cautiously, "Ma'am, you wish to close all 5 of your credit cards. If you close them, all your reward points will be forfeited, and the accounts cannot be recovered. Are you sure about this?" "Uppity. Yes. Don't leave a single one. Close them all. And I want to cancel every automatic payment linked to these accounts, effective today." Sarah's answer was firm, without a hint of hesitation. The teller took a pair of scissors and began cutting the cards. Snip, snip. The sound of plastic splitting in two was as satisfying as the sound of chains breaking. "You have quite a few automatic payments listed here, ma'am. Mortgage, electricity, water, gas, 3 cell phone plans, various insurance premiums, and the internet bill. If you cancel all of these, there will be no one responsible for payment starting today." "Are you absolutely certain?" "It doesn't matter. They're in my name, but it's not the house I'll be living in. For 10 years, I've been paying for things that were never my responsibility. Please process it immediately." Sarah calmly signed the forms. In just 30 minutes, the financial lifeline that had been draining her dry for a decade was severed. A cold smile spread across Sarah's lips as she walked out of the bank. "Now, the real hell begins. Let's see you spend all that money you love so much." By noon, the quiet living room was shattered by a shriek from her sister-in-law, Jessica. She had sprung up from the sofa, clutching her phone, a call from the department store's credit services. "What do you mean? Declined? My credit limit is huge. It was working just fine yesterday. Check again." But the voice on the other end was robotic. The news was a thunderbolt. The card had been canceled. Jessica's face went white as she shook Brenda, who was napping. Mom, something terrible has happened. That crazy bitch canceled all the cards. The department store just called. My installment payment didn't go through." "What? She canceled them? How dare that foolish woman try to ruin us?" Brenda shot up and checked her own phone, only to be met with a cascade of terrifying text messages. Overdue utility payment reminders. Failed automatic withdrawal for the electricity bill. A warning that her cell phone service would be suspended for non-payment. Even the dozens of insurance policies Brenda had signed up for were now all marked as delinquent. What is going on? That's Sarah. She's really done it this time. Brenda frantically called Sarah, but all she got was a cold, automated voice. The customer you have called is unavailable. She paced the living room, calling 10, 20 times, but Sarah never answered. At 2 p.m., a final warning call came from the property management office. Is this Brenda Miller in Unit 403? Your homeowners association fees are 3 months overdue, and as of this morning, the automatic payment has been canceled. If you do not come to the office and pay in person by 5 p.m. today, we will proceed with shutting off your water as per regulations. Do you understand? Your water will be cut off. What? The water? Hello, Mr. Manager. Just a moment. The call disconnected abruptly. Brenda's face turned ashen. Jessica paced beside her, wringing her hands and whimpering. Mom, what do we do? If my phone gets cut off, I can't meet my friends. I can't pay for my bag. Sarah is really trying to kill us all. Shut up. My head is about to explode. At 4 p.m., Mark came home, still looking hungover, and he was no exception. He stormed in, yelling, Mom, what's wrong with my phone? Why can't I make any calls? I have an important meeting, and I'm going crazy because I can't get in touch with anyone. Go ask your wife. That vicious woman cut off everything. The cards. Everything. This house is in complete chaos. At Brenda's scream, Mark stared blankly at his phone. It was true. He could neither make nor receive calls. Trembling with rage, he sent a barrage of texts to Sarah. Are you kidding me? What do you think you're doing? Get home right now and fix this. Don't you know this is a crime? But there was no reply. At 7 p.m., Sarah finally walked through the front door. The 3 family members, who had been gathered in the living room, descended on her like a pack of hungry wolves. Sarah Miller, are you insane? Who do you think you are, cutting off our family's entire livelihood? Are you asking for a death wish? Brenda lunged to grab Sarah's hair, but Sarah, with a cold glare, caught Brenda's wrist and threw it aside. With a strength Brenda had never seen, she sent her mother-in-law tumbling onto the sofa. I canceled my own cards, which are in my name. Is there a problem? I've spent years letting you drain my salary to fund your luxuries and your gambling-like investments. Isn't that enough? From now on, not a single penny of my money will go into your mouths. Honey, you're going too far. How can you be like this with family? Reinstate the cards right now. What will this do to my reputation? As Mark approached, sputtering with rage, Sarah let out a bitter laugh. She pulled a thick manila envelope from her bag and threw it onto the coffee table. Reputation? A man like you had a reputation to begin with? Look in there. It's all the receipts and photos of you taking that precious friend's sister to motels, buying her drinks and luxury gifts with my card. The private investigator got some very clear shots. The envelope burst open and explicit photos of Mark embracing another woman scattered across the living room floor. Brenda and Jessica gasped as they picked them up. Mark's face turned sheet white as he stammered. It's fake. It's a misunderstanding. Sarah, just listen to me. A misunderstanding? Then go tell it to a judge. I sent the lawsuit papers to your mistress today, too, so she'll be hearing from the court soon. And as for the bills for this house, you can pay them yourselves. I'm moving out tonight. Brenda grabbed Sarah's pant leg, crying and screaming. Sarah, I was wrong. Please, just get the water turned back on. Just lend us some money. How are we supposed to live? Mom, I believe you said it yourself, right? That you were counting on me. Well, now I'm gone. Let's see how you all survive on your own. Oh, and the interest payments for the mortgage on this house were also coming from my account. I canceled that too. You should be receiving a foreclosure notice soon. Look forward to it. Sarah uttered the words coldly, then slammed the front door behind her. From behind the door, she could hear Mark's bellows, Brenda's screams, and Jessica's wails from the bathroom where no water would run. But Sarah didn't look back even once. It was the night the parasites who had sucked her dry for a decade were finally left to tear each other apart. Sarah breathed in the cool night air and pressed the accelerator. The real revenge was just beginning. The next morning, Sarah left the house with a single bag, a stark contrast to the 10 years of life she had lived there. She had only packed a few changes of clothes, her official seal, and the USB drive and documents that contained the ugly truth of her in-laws. The living room was eerily silent. The family, who had been in an uproar over the disconnected utilities and cards, were sleeping as if dead from exhaustion. Standing at the doorway, Sarah looked back one last time. The excitement she felt on her first day in this house 10 years ago was gone, replaced by the stench of decay, poverty, and selfishness. 10 years was long enough. Now you can all feast on each other. She opened the doors silently. The click of the electronic lock sounded as satisfying as erasing a stain from her life. In her car, she watched the hellish house shrink in her rearview mirror until it vanished completely. At Neoa M. A time when Brenda would normally be eating a warm breakfast prepared by Sarah, her morning began with a scream. Sarah Miller. What time is it? Are you still sleeping? I'm hungry. Get out here and make some soup. When there was no answer, Brenda kicked Sarah's door in frustration. It swung open to reveal a cold, empty room. The closet was bare, and the vanity was covered in a thin layer of dust. The realization that Sarah had packed and left hit Brenda like a physical blow, and her scream pierced the morning quiet. What is this? Mark? Jessica? Get out here. That bitch really left. She packed her bags and ran. Mark and Jessica, stumbling out of their rooms, saw the empty space and their faces drained of color. Mark frantically called Sarah's number, but it just rang endlessly. He tried over 60 times in 30 minutes, but the only response was silence. Mom, what are we going to do? Jessica whimpered. Without Sarah, how are we going to eat? What about the water? The electricity? Shut up, Brenda yelled, her face red. Where is she going to go? She's still Chloe's mother. She'll come crawling back for her daughter's sake. But Brenda's bravado shattered in less than an hour. At 10 a.m., the doorbell rang violently. When she opened the door, she was met by two large men in dark suits. Brenda Miller? We're from the bank's collections team. The $30,000 investment loan, plus $5,000 in overdue interest, totaling $35,000. You need to pay it in full right now. If it's not settled by the end of the day, we will begin seizing assets from this house. Oh, my daughter-in-law just stepped out for a bit. Please, just wait a little longer, Brenda stammered. But the men just snorted. Your daughter-in-law, Sarah Miller? We just finished a call with her. She stated that she was coerced into co-signing under fraudulent circumstances and that she is filing a lawsuit to have the guarantee declared void. She told us not to contact her again. Brenda's heart plummeted. She finally understood that Sarah hadn't just left. She was legally severing all ties. The men entered the house and began placing red repossession stickers on the TV and other furniture. Jessica's screams were useless. By noon, the phone was ringing off the hook with calls from other creditors. All the private loans and scammed investment money came due at once. To make matters worse, the property manager delivered a final ultimatum. Unit 403. If the overdue fees aren't paid by 4 p.m. today, we will be shutting off your electricity in addition to the water. The power would be cut too. Brenda collapsed, grabbing her son's legs. Mark, call your wife. Beg her. Plead with her. Just get her to come back and turn the power on. I'm going to end up in jail. With trembling hands, Mark called Sarah again. After dozens of attempts, she finally answered. He lowered his voice, groveling. Honey, please, just help us this one time. The house is full of debt collectors putting stickers on everything. And what's this about a lawsuit to void the guarantee? We're family. Please come back and sort this out. A cold laugh echoed from the other end of the line. Family? The word family rolls off your tongue so easily. The same tongue you used while you were taking another woman to a hotel on my credit card. And tell your mother I've gathered all the evidence of her stealing my salary and her investment fraud. I've filed a police report, so I'll see her at the station soon. Honey, you have to think about Chloe. What will Chloe think if she sees this? When Mark played his last card, using their child's name, Sarah's voice turned razor sharp. Chloe. Chloe is already with me. I picked her up early this morning, and we're in the process of transferring her to a new school. She told me herself she hates having a father and grandmother like you. So don't you dare use her name. For you people, this is just the beginning. I hope you enjoy your time in the dark with a candle. The line went dead. At that exact moment, the lights in the living room flickered and went out. The TV, the hum of the refrigerator, everything fell silent. The power had been cut. Mom, the lights are out. And there's no water. I'm scared. Mom, Jessica cried in the darkness. Brenda slammed her fists on the floor and sobbed. But the person who could have helped them was gone from their world. The parasites who had feasted on Sarah's life for a decade were finally trapped in a lightless abyss. Instead of the cold pre-dawn air, warm sunlight streamed through the window, waking Sarah. She stretched slowly in the bed of her new studio apartment. It was a profound, bone-deep peace she hadn't felt in 10 years. The screen of her phone showed over 200 missed calls and 300 unread messages. She didn't check a single one. She simply brewed a fragrant cup of coffee, looked out at the sprawling city view, and whispered to herself, "So this is what peace feels like. Why did I let myself suffocate in that hell for so long?" She changed her clothes and headed to a law firm, carrying all the documents she had prepared. A middle-aged female lawyer reviewed the thick pile of papers, adjusted her glasses, and smiled with admiration. "Miss Miller, this evidence is impeccable. Your husband's affair photos, the audio from the car's dashcam, and the recordings of your mother-in-law's investment fraud. With this, we will not only win the divorce case, but also secure full custody and alimony. 100% success rate. In fact, the systematic financial exploitation by your mother-in-law is grounds for a separate criminal complaint. My biggest worry is the loan I guaranteed. Do I really have to take on that $34,500 debt? I never even saw a penny of that money." The lawyer answered with confidence. "Don't worry. At the time of the contract, your mother-in-law was already in severe default and intentionally concealed this fact from you. In legal terms, this is an action based on deceit. We can file a lawsuit for a declaratory judgment to void the debt obligation. In fact, we can countersue for the living expenses and loan interest you were coerced into paying all these years. Miss Miller, you are about to be completely free from those chains." Sarah felt the massive boulder that had been crushing her chest for a decade finally crumble into dust. Her steps were as light as a feather as she left the office. At the same time, her former home was a scene of utter chaos. In the house without power or water, the stench of rotting food filled the air. Brenda was on the floor, tearing at her hair and cursing Sarah's name. Jessica emerged from her room, dragging a large suitcase. "Mom, I can't take it anymore. I'm going to a friend's house. It stinks in here, and I feel like I'm going to suffocate. Can't you see what it's doing to my skin?" "What? Are you crazy? If you leave too, who's going to deal with the debt collectors? You're not going anywhere. If you leave, whose money will I use to eat?" Brenda grabbed Jessica's leg, but Jessica kicked her away coldly. "If you hadn't thrown all that money at that con man, we wouldn't be in this mess. Why couldn't you control one daughter-in-law? This is all your fault, so you deal with it. I'm going to live my own life, so don't try to stop me." Jessica stormed out without a second glance. Left alone, Brenda grabbed her son, Mark, who had emerged trembling from a corner. "Mark, go get your wife. Kneel, beg, lick her toes if you have to. Just bring her back. We're about to lose this house. How am I supposed to bring her back? She won't answer her phone, and I don't know where she is. And besides, you were the one who told me to do it. You said Sarah was naive, so I should just sweet-talk her and get her money. This all happened because I did what you told me to do." Mark shoved Brenda away, screaming. The mother and son who had coexisted by feeding off the great pillar that was Sarah now turned on each other like animals. Finally, Mark too packed a bag and fled, saying, "I have to find a way to survive, so don't look for me." Alone in the dark, freezing living room, Brenda sobbed. "What did I do wrong? Why has everyone abandoned me? Sarah, you vicious bitch, you destroyed my family." To the very end, she never acknowledged her own fault. A week later, a registered letter from the court arrived from Mark, who was crashing on friends' couches. It was the divorce petition, a demand for $30,000 in alimony, and a notice of the lawsuit filed against his mistress. After hundreds of desperate calls, he finally got through to Sarah and began to beg. "Honey, please, just give me one more chance. I was wrong, so wrong. I don't have a penny to my name. I'm eating instant noodles from 7-Eleven. Where am I going to get $30,000? For Chloe's sake, please, just drop the lawsuit. You called it a mistake, remember? Now you get to experience firsthand just how brutal the consequences of that mistake are. As for Chloe, she already considers a father like you dead, so don't you dare bring up her name. And by the way, your mother's house was officially listed for auction today. Now you can finally live like a real family out on the street." Go do some of that networking you love so much. Sarah hung up decisively, removed the SIM card from her phone, cut it with scissors, and threw it in the trash. Their screams and their pathetic begging would never reach her again. A month later, Sarah opened her own business, Sarah's Painting and Design. The clients she had worked with for 10 years, who knew the quality of her work, lined up to give her contracts. As she applied paste to fresh, white wallpaper, she hummed a quiet tune. Revenge isn't a loud explosion. It's a quiet, perfect completion. Sarah was no longer a long-suffering daughter-in-law or a money-making machine for her in-laws. She was a strong, beautiful woman, reborn, building her own castle with her own two hands. Rumors reached her that her former family members were now scattered, living at rock bottom and hating each other like mortal enemies. But she never gave them a second thought. Under the clear, high autumn sky, Sarah's new life was just beginning, brilliant and dazzling.